everyone, welcome back to Valley of the Mist Block of the Month. I'm Adriane Ritter.
And I'm Shelley McNeely.
And we are here with our February 2020 Block of the Month. So a few little housekeeping details. Number one, we do recommend that you go get a copy of the written instructions for this block from the Valley of the Mist Quilt Guild's website under either in the newsletter or there's a Block of the Month section. And then also this block, it's a February block, so it's not due if you're turning in blocks for the drawing at the meeting, which we've explained before. That's not due till the March meeting. And when we talk about the particular focus fabric we use, it's only required if you are making this to turn one in at the guild. Okay, so if you're making it for yourself, then we recommend you pick a focus fabric and use it for the whole year. Find something that you like that has, in our opinion, we want something with a lot of variety of color, and that's kind of our requirement.
Right.
I mean, this year it's kind of have a big has a bigger pattern to it, but it doesn't have to.
Right.
Okay, so
This block. Okay. Oh, this is the block.
Yeah. It doesn't have a name. It's just a patchwork block.
Yeah.
And it's actually not normally an improvisational block. And since we're doing improvisational piecing, Shelley and I had to think about how do we make this improvisational? But we're going to explain that to you.
Okay.
So we need 4 fabrics.
Okay, let me put mine down.
Yeah, I'll put mine down too. So what fabrics do we need, Shelley?
Okay, we're going to need a coordinating fabric. This is what I picked for this month.
And that means it coordinates with the focus fabric.
Right. And that needs to be 4.5 by 8.5 at least, but it could be slightly more if you're trying to do it a little bit wonky or something.
Right, and mine actually is not, if you put it under ruler, it's not exactly rectangular. It's a little bit wider, tiny bit at one end. So we're saying it has to be, you want it to be 4.5 inch wide, 8.5 inch long. I mean, that's a good place to be.
Right.
Because you won't waste that much fabric. It can be a little bigger. Don't make it any smaller. Okay. That's what.
Yeah, we want you to be successful here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have a focus fabric. This year we're using this one. It's from In the Beginnings, and it was for the Western Washington Quilt
Shop Hop. On the salvage it says 2017, but it was actually for the 2018 Shop Hop.
Right.
And so that's the one we're using this year. For how much of that do we need?
Okay, we're going to cut this 2 3/4 by 12 inches.
Okay. So other than this first center piece, which is bigger, you're going to want pieces that are 2 3/4 inches wide.
Right.
I mean, I'm going to tell an honest thing here. If you make them 2.5 inch and you sew an accurate 1/4 inch seam, that's all you have to have. But the 2 3/4 gives you a little bit of room to either have not so accurate seams or to angle your ruler at the end, which we'll show you.
Right. And then we have white strips and black strips, and I can talk about that.
Yeah. So this, because the amount that you use of the black and the white is kind of up to you. As you can see in our blocks, we didn't do the same thing, and they don't come in the middle, so it can vary some.
Right.
But roughly you need about 30 inches of black and about 24 inches of white, unless you.
I think you got that backwards.
More white. Oh, you're right. More white.
Yeah.
30 inches of white, 24 inches of black.
Right.
Good catch, Shelley. Okay. So the first thing that we are going to do after you've cut out your fabric is we're going to make, well, I guess I'll put this back up. We're going to make these little strips here that go to the side of the long side of the coordinating fabric. And the easy way to do it is well, actually you can cut it first or after.
Right.
But you can sew your coordinating fabric to both ends of a white strip. That's roughly
right. I cut my focus in half wide, roughly in half.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so let's show our blocks, our original block, Shelley. So Shelley didn't do roughly in half. She did hers quite different, and so you can see she only has a little tiny bit of white at the bottom. And but that's okay if that's what you want to do. I did mine more closely 2 1/2. I think it's up to you.
Right.
You know, you because it's 12 inches and this piece is 8 inches. You definitely want to make sure you don't cut it longer than 8 inches.
Yeah, I would go I would go less, and I didn't measure. I just thought, okay, let's have it a little bit off,
Right.
and it was probably more off than it should
so
be.
kind of roughly cut it in half, and then sew a white piece. You can use 1 strip of white if you have it, and sew the 2 pieces to either end, or like this. I'm going to cut this in half now. I guess I made it a little harder by not cutting it already, but I can just cut it however I want.
Yes.
Okay, so then after I cut it and press, and we're not going to mess with talking about this each time, but when you're pressing, we want you to generally press to the darker fabric or to the less complicated seam.
Right.
Whichever goes better. It doesn't really matter in the block because you're not going to have any seams that you're matching up. But if you it just makes the back flatter.
Right.
Okay. So now you're going to do that, and then you're going to take your let's show with yours. Since mine is a loop. Okay. So you're gonna have this and a white piece.
Oh, okay.
And you're gonna sew them together, and then you're gonna I want it right next to your block.
Okay.
Oh, I guess the wrong part of the block. Oh, I'll put it next to my block.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, and see when I picked my coordinating fabric, I had a lot of that orange in there, so I went with that. So like we said before, with this focus fabric, wait till you cut out your strip to decide the exact color of your coordinating fabric, because it does kind of.
Not every color is going to be in every strip. Yeah.
Okay, so then you're gonna have that sewn together, and you're gonna take whatever you want to use all of your focus fabric. So say she made a cut right here. So then she's gonna take this top part and put it against here, and these are sewn together, even though they're not really. And you're gonna just line that up and sew that edge. And then with the remaining, you're gonna take the focus fabric, and it doesn't matter which, we can show that too on our blocks.
Right.
It doesn't matter which edge you sew them to, but when you sew on the first focus fabric, sew the other one on the opposite end. Okay, so Shelley's and I's are different. She has focus at the top on this side, and I have it at the top on the other side. Either way is okay. Mm-hmm. Right, so we're gonna do that, and then we're gonna come back and show you the next step. I think I'm gonna you'll see when we come back at what point, because I'm not gonna trim totally, but you'll see. Okay, so we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, so we're back. We have sewn on our focus fabric white sub pieces.
Right.
Okay, and Shelley, did you use? Oh yeah, she was using scrap pieces again.
Right.
So so she basically sewed. She figured out how much white she needed.
Yeah. I just had some white strips, and I thought,
sure it was long enough.
Or did you
cut your focus fabric so the white worked?
No. No,
Okay.
I cut the focus fabric, and then I had some scraps that were the right, or I could make the right width. And so I said, okay, that one will fit, and I used that one.
Okay, but that is one thing you can do. If you have a smaller piece of white, not too small, but that you could have to use, then you could sew that edge, sew that on, and then trim the focus, and then you know where your cut's in the focus. It can go either way.
Right.
Okay. Just so we want you to use up your scraps nicely.
Right.
Okay. So now we both have a long one, and we're gonna go back, and we're gonna, mine, I sewed this edge on, and then first of all, because it was a circle before, I cut it down in the focus fabric.
No circle.
Then I sewed that on, and then I just sewed this on, and now I've left it like that. I didn't cut it first. I just sew it on, and then we're gonna trim after. Like here, now I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna trim that, and Shelley's gonna trim hers.
Right.
Okay, so now the next edge that we're gonna do is this top and bottom edge. And if you're using scraps, you're gonna kind of do the same process. We're going to sew white and black together.
Yes.
But I actually had a fat quarter of this polka dot fabric. So I have a 21-inch long piece, and I have a full width of fabric of the black. And so I just sewed them to either end, and I can manipulate that how I want. And so, so on this piece, you're going to go so that, oh, I had it backwards, so this is a white edge here. So your black is going to go against the white edge, this black part. And you're going to try to put the seam somewhere in your coordinating fabric. And so I just like sit down and I lay it out where I want and I clip it on and I leave it in this little circle and I sew it on and then I cut it later. But Shelley, she's got a shorter piece of white, so she's not doing it that way.
Right.
And then you just at the other end, just make sure you put the black at the opposite side of the so it's
like,
opposite
like this.
right. And then press them like I said. Generally, the less complicated way to press is going to be pressing out, which is what I did on my last one.
Right.
Even though you have some dark underneath.
Less seams.
Yeah, just go that way. Okay, so we're gonna sew on that next round, which is these two, and then we'll be back with the last round.
one. Yeah.
And all right, so we'll see you back in a minute. Okay, we're back. And as you can see, we've sewn on our top and bottom pieces.
Right.
Hey, they look kind of alike. All right, we're doing it
Somewhat.
right. We're doing it right. Okay. So the next step is obviously, it's very much like this step.
Right.
Only
The pieces are longer.
pieces are longer. And even though this is the pieces I had left, I could have sewn a circle, but it's harder now. So what I do is I sewed my white and black together, and I'm just gonna, I want my black, I want to make a corner with the black here. So I'm just gonna decide somewhere in here to place this along this edge, wherever I like. To be honest, I'm probably gonna say, wow, I've got this much white and I need to use it on both edges. So I'm gonna kind of figure out
Because you got more black than white.
Yeah, I've got a ton of white here, a ton of black.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna sew on this first edge, and then whatever I have left, I'm gonna trim off, sew the edges, sew those two ends together, and then sew that final edge.
Right, right.
And Shelley, are you still using scraps?
It's multiple pieces. It was kind of scraps. It wasn't all, I have a long piece, but I also have a short one. So I'm gonna start with my short one.
Okay, so you're gonna do kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna sew on, and now we're gonna make sure that we have the white against the white and the black against the black on either edge to make that corner part.
Right.
Okay, and then we'll be back. All right, so we are back with our final segment and
Yes.
almost finished block for Shelley, and I'm going to show you my finished one
Okay.
in a second. So she sewed on these the long edges.
Right.
Oh, you have it turned. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, because
Oh,
I wanted to
edges
show
are-
the
yeah,
edges
okay.
better.
So so she didn't, like, this one's got a lot extra here, so that you used a piece that just fit there.
Yes.
Yeah, and basically on mine, when I was talking before, how I did the one edge and then trimmed it, and I just had enough of the white left, so that's what I started with.
I tell you what I do, which is, especially on the last round, I have a lot of times overhang a tiny bit on the, so in case I have trouble in the corners, when I go to trim, I got a little bit extra there.
Right, except for, as you guys are going to see when you get to this last section, because we did, like we said, you could use 2.5 inch width strips, but with 2 3/4, you have like it's like a 1/2 inch extra on the edges.
We'll see.
So
We'll
it's up to how, it depends on how you
Because
accurately
truthfully, not all of, some of mine were 2.5 and some were 2 3/4.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So just know you can manage. If you only have 2.5, then
it might be hard to see because of the white on white, but I do have some extra.
Oh wow, you don't have near as much extra as I have.
I know, because like I said, I did have some 2.5 edges. So, but if you have plenty, you can turn this so it makes it however you want it to fit, and it totally fits. It totally does fit.
And so now here is my finished block already trimmed, and as you can see, I had enough extra that I was able to play with the position of the ruler on you know, and I don't end up with a super square block. I mean, it's square, the block, but the insides.
But you did start with a slightly bigger center, right?
No, it wasn't exactly rectangular.
Okay.
I mean, it was like 8.5 at one end and 8 3/4 at the other, and
Okay.
4.5, and
But that
just
helps too.
a tiny little bit bigger.
That does help.
And so anyway, oh, I know I'm handing that to you. So anyway, so here's our finished blocks, and as you can see, it's a fairly simple block. We just want you to have fun with it, and you know, don't stress. We're trying to make this so you don't have to rip things out, and except for like Shelley, who was supposed to be sewing 2 ends together and sewed the long way together. So
Not the whole way, but I did do it wrong.
that's a little bit harder to come back from on these ones. So anyway, so all right, have fun with this block, and definitely you can see with this focus fabric, you ladies in the guild, it varies what colors look great with it because of the piece of fabric. You know, this one has a lot of purple and yellow. This one had mainly orange, green, a little blue.
Right.
You know, this one has kind of the same. So watch that so it doesn't look like you had no idea how to pick a coordinating fabric, but otherwise you're good.
Okay.
And we will see you next month.
Right.